Party people, Tony Rowe here, running back some rapid games. Will we get an open Sicilian on this channel? Very unlikely. Bam, hit me with it. Come on. No, I'm not saying hi back. You disgust me. I honestly don't know what to do against this move. I don't know if this is like yeah, okay, you son of a bitch. All right, so I'm in an I'm in an accelerated dragon now, whether I want to be or not. Queen F3, hit me with it. Just let's do this. Let's do this right. All right, so if E5, I have at least takes Queen A5 check with the okie doke. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about it. This first allows Bishop D2. Smackdown, crackdown. Get him with it. Simple tactics, people. Simple tactics win like 75% of games. I made that up. But it's around there. It's, especially at lower levels, and I consider myself to still be a lower level player when you really think about how high chess skill is. It's like 90% of my games are decided by just stupid tactical errors, and people just don't get it. You just gotta. There are certain patterns that, if I could go real deep here, chess sort of has like, and I've talked about this crap before. I'm sure people who watch all my videos are real sick of it, but chess has like a certain physics to it where if, we're taking the same size board, it's 8x8, alternate colored squares, pieces that start in the same places with prescribed patterns of movement. Okay, like when you do that, you're going to prescribe like a certain physics to the game, right? If you changed the size of the board, or if you changed the way the knight move, or you've changed the way the queen move, the whole game would change. But if you keep the pieces the same, it's like there are certain patterns that are going to happen over and over again, and we call those tactical patterns, or and we train tactics to recognize those patterns over and over again. And you just cannot get good at the game until you stop doing dumb things with tactics, and that's just fact. And I'm deciding whether or not I want to just take on F3 and release this tension here, or if I want to castle first. So castle's knight e5, queen a5 check. Presumably knight c3, bishop d2. I don't think it much matters. Probably knight c3 is better. Queen e5. He probably wouldn't want to do that, I'm guessing, because then he would sort of have to play queen e2, blocking the check, and then I get to take, and then I'm probably just pretty close to winning there. So castles, and then yeah, I'm gonna just do this first and think about how I want to deal with this position. If I go knight c6 here, then he gets to go knight c3. I don't think that's obviously not bad. But that's probably actually isn't that bad. I'm just thinking like it feels like a little bit of a concession to me to allow him to just develop his queen essentially with tempo for him. I'm thinking about something like knight takes f3, queen takes f3, d5, and then he was probably going to go knight c3, and then I sort of have to go... I could go bishop e6. It looks kind of dumb. And so I was looking at knight f3, queen f3, d5, knight c3, e6, which I just don't want to play e6. I know that seems weird, but like it just seems like such a concession. So I'm wondering about something like this, knight c3, and then knight a5 actually. Preparing just knight takes b3, a takes b3, and then d5 when I have the two bishops. I'm going to try that. I don't know if it's the best move. I don't think it's a bad move. Let's put it that way. Disregard hair. You guys might notice now that I've accidentally raised my hand into the camera screen that I have a freaking, I don't know what you call this, a wrist brace or a splint, something like that. Got one of those. I took a mad crash on my one wheel and really effed my hands up. So I don't know if you can see this in the camera. It's sort of, it's healed up pretty, but you can see like an L-shaped road rash all along this like knife edge of my palm. That was just bleeding profusely. This side, hard to tell. Yeah, it's much better now. But yeah, last Friday, whoo, idiot. Thinking about this. If he goes bishop a4, how much do I care? I just want the two bishops, then I just want to go like, I don't know, b6, bishop b7. Just double fianchetto. Maybe I should just go d6. This is a much more sensible way to play, but the idea with knight c6 is, first of all, I don't think that this piece is very effective long term, like, but also I want to go knight a5 takes b3. This video sponsored by Cherry Coke Zero. Welcome, friends. Natural idea, bro. I'm just gonna do this. This is a typical idea in the Sozin Dragon, and this is approximately a Sozin Dragon, except white is missing an e-pawn. Can't be bad for me. So I'm just gonna do that, and then I'll think about whether or not my bishop should go to a square like e6. Probably not g4, but it's a thought. Or wow, okay, this guy's doing it. This guy's just trying to do me dirty here. How much of a threat is h5? How much do I actually care? Probably not that much. I'm going to take this first. And then I'm going to play d6. This is a little bit awkward that I'm playing this way, I think, because okay. Yeah, I just really don't care about h4, h5. I think his attacking chances here are exceedingly minimal. If anything, you know, I'm quite a bit more excited for this than he might be. I'm probably gonna snap this baby off. This is a hell of a game. This is odd. Ooh, my pop filter came out away from the microphone. It's not good. Yeah, I sprained my wrist really bad. And, okay, now that's actually kind of legit. This I did not think about as much. Okay, I've been thinking about just e6 this whole time. I think I'm going to do that. This knight cannot be allowed to hang out on these types of squares for too long. And I'll probably go something like, I'm guessing he's going to go here, and then I'll go here. Stopping rook h4, and then probably I'll play something like king g7. It's also interesting to consider this move because while his rook can't temporarily swing over here, I might want to force it to do something. Can't go to any of these squares. If he goes rook c4, then I go bishop b5, and I win the exchange. I am open to doing so. And if he plays something like rook a2, his rook is very stupid on that square. And then I just go bishop f6, and I think I'm pretty happy with my position. Yeah, this is sprained or fractured. I'm really not sure which, but it's very annoying because feel like I just kind of like got my stride with like a lot of the kettlebell workouts that I was doing, and then also my jiu-jitsu school opened back up again, and I can't even do a push-up on this thing. Like my wrist inflection hurts really bad, or extension rather, this way. Flexion is this way. Extension's this way? I don't know. I think so. Because like with your back, this is flexion, this is extension. I'm guessing it's the same way for the wrist. For anyone who's wondering, I have not forgotten about my last video. I decided that the first thing that I was going to do was to release an Alekhine theory video, and then, of course, what happens with every single theory video that I do is I go way too hard. And I have now decided to make it 3 videos and release more analysis than I think I was intending on, and cover things maybe a little bit more deeper than I was intending. And so I'm still working on the analysis for the first video. Idiot. But that's where we're at on that. So those videos are definitely still coming, and I think it's not going to be a regular like every week thing, but I think I'm going to do like a Taking Out the Trash Tuesday. I'll probably rename the Grob video, taking out the trash, the Grob or whatever. And then there's going to be like maybe once or twice a month a Taking Out the Trash video where I just analyze garbage openings and try and murder them. Next one being the Danish Gambit. I have already compiled a lot of analysis on the Danish Gambit. I do think it indeed is not amazing. Important question here is, do I go g7 or do I go f6? Because like if I go g7, then my queen is free to swing out here, which I feel like is relevant. If I go f6, I can't do that, but like I feel like somehow this is just a more logical place to go. I'll probably end up playing king g7, rook h8. Yeah. I don't even think knight g6 is really a threat here, but I probably will just... or do I go queen e7? Queen e7 allows like rook f to d1, rook f to d8, something like that, and also takes check, and then queen g7 would be a nice defense. So I think I'm going to play queen e7. And queen e7 also guards a7. I'm not sure if I showed that. So I could go rook a to d8. I could go rook f to d8. I think probably... I don't actually know, because yeah, deciding to go rook f to d8 makes a fair amount of sense if I intend to put my rook on the c file. But going rook a to d8 allows this king g7, rook h8 idea, and I feel like my rook is also pretty decent on the h file. So I'm not sure which. I'm up 2 pawns and I have the 2 bishops. I think on a sort of like theoretical level, if you let 2 engines play this, black would win pretty much every time. I just have to not get checkmated, essentially, and not do anything exceedingly dumb, which I'm prone to. So now is there scum here? Is the question, isn't it? Like knight d5 doesn't do anything, so that's cool. Rook e6, f takes e6. Yeah, so I want to play something like King G7. I'm just wondering if Rook F6, Fe6, Queen G6 is an issue. Queen G6 would force here. I very much doubt that it works. Rook takes E6. Queen G6, King H8. Queen H6 can be met by Queen E7, Queen H7, excuse me. I was also thinking about bishop takes f3, honestly, for a second there. Just very simple. Bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, rook a to c8. Just I'm up 2 pawns, just hack off some stuff, put all my pieces on reasonable squares, and I wasn't sure after c4 whether or not I was really actually happy that I did that, though. So this plan is also very simple. I mean, just go to put a rook on h6 so that g6 is overprotected and just swing the other rook over and ask him what he's doing about this. Not too shabby. Yeah. It's annoying that he has this move. I didn't really consider it, to be honest. It's possible now that knight e6 is a threat, like knight e6, fe6, queen g6 here, and then rook e3, for instance, would be annoying because of rook h3. And it's kind of starting to feel like I might have to go bishop takes d4, but then queen takes d4 check. The move that I really want to play, queen f6 allows takes here. And now I'm still up 2 pawns. I'm managing to trade off some pieces, but also it's like yeah, queen d4, queen f6, queen takes d6, rook fd8, queen c6, queen f4 is possible, giving back a pawn, but I just feel like he's sort of active there. And feel like I'm giving up more than I should anyway. So I was intending e5. Knight d5, bishop d5, queen takes d5. Yeah, I mean, none of that is really exciting, is it? This isn't really, neither of these are obviously a threat right away because of this. But maybe I'm looking to go something like queen b7. So I'm double pinned. I can't take pretty much at all, but I think rook a to c8. Now I'm threatening maybe like bishop g2. So if he wants to keep this pin and move the queen, he would have to go to something like queen b2. Queen a1 makes more sense, and I think I'll just go a5, protect the pawn, and then I kind of feel like I'm weaseling my way out of the pressure at least, and then I would be kind of back to being, I would say, just full 2 pawns up again. Crossed. What you gonna play? SA mad? Presumably SA underscores for Saudi Arabia. I've repurposed my Reinhardt mug. Those of you who play Overwatch will perhaps recognize this mug or this hammer, but it's a Stein. Is it Stein? Is that how German people say it? You should put liquid in here, presumably, but when you're a diabetic, you put glucose in there. Top secret. Just in case. Texted me. Yeah, my at work we have an administrative assistant that we really like, and she has decided to. She does like all the bookkeeping basically, and the accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and she has decided to completely leave and go on the road pretty much and be like a forest fairy, to just like live in a. She bought a truck, and she bought a camper that fits in the bed of this huge truck, and she's just gonna live with her boyfriend and like climb rocks and do all kinds of cool stuff like that. So we needed a replacement, and the current person who's doing it has been training her replacement for like a month, and her replacement just quit, man. And it's like, the current girl who's doing it, Gina, is only there for, I don't know, it's the 25th, so a week, and then so like we have a week to find a replacement, and she's obviously not going to be trained at all by the time she leaves. So real big hassle. Pretty unfortunate. I think this move is a blunder. Just to E takes F4, but I'm just checking to make sure there's nothing crazy, because like E takes F4, Queen C3 check, for instance, you have to make sure it doesn't work. I do have Queen F6 in this case, and something like takes, Rook A7 is annoying, but I think just here and I'll eventually unravel. Bishop D5, etc. Actually, probably not Bishop D5, because Bishop D5 there's C4. Bishop D5, C4, yeah, here, and then Rook takes E6 would be unfortunate, but Bishop D5 at some point. So again, does this, like, yeah, what's actually sick about this is I'm uncovering an attack on the Rook too, so he pretty much has to do this or has to do this to protect the Rook. Does he have any other crazy check? I guess he has like this, but I don't care about that. Tactical blunder. That's number 2. First there was this pawn, and then you could sort of argue that honestly that knight d5 was another tactical blunder, and that he just didn't need to drop that pawn, or it didn't work. But you could argue that he maybe got some compensation for it. But then this queen g3 move is just, it's like uniquely bad in that it removes the pin on the pawn on this diagonal and also allows me to deal with the pin on this diagonal because I'm attacking his queen at the same time. It's the only real square that actually does that, which is kind of a bummer for white, but what can you do? Sometimes it happens, you know? I'll take a win however I can get them lately. My blitz rating was like well over 2,300, and I've dropped a tremendous amount to all the way down to 2250. I'll get it out. That's why my blitz rating isn't that good right now, is because it took me that long to figure out what I wanted to say. Compute the like 4 words. All right, so a lot of moves. Rook f to e8 makes a lot of sense. A5 just protecting the a pawn. Rook c7 would do the same. I don't really want to disconnect my rooks though. I could just go queen g5 and threaten mate. I think I actually probably will play this move. He can go g3. That would stop mate. I can't take because of this pin. But I was thinking in that case that I could go rook f to e8, and he actually can't take here. Obviously, takes. Takes, queen takes f4 because of this here, and then rook h1 mate. You know, it's funny actually. Rook a7. I think maybe I could go here anyway because of takes, rook e1, h2, rook h1 mate again. Got to be at least moderately sure about this one. He can go queen d4 there, I suppose. Oh, actually, it's just, yeah, he doesn't have the h2 square because my pawn's here. Hilarious. Well, might as well do this. I don't have very much time, and this seems like the most forcing way to just drop the hammer here. Attacking his queen, so he kind of has to go with one of these checks. I think I'm just going to go king g8. Oh no. That wasn't on purpose. Let's put it that way. I mean, I have takes here, and um, like I'm probably doing a lot of damage, but not on purpose. Shit. Maybe here first is better. King g2 and then takes. King takes. Queen to e3 check. King g2, rook g1, g1. Queen g3 mate. Okay. Well, it was totally on purpose. I saw all that. What an idiot. Yeah, it's just like when all kinds of other stuff is going on in my life, and I don't have a lot of time to just like play chess and focus on chess. It's like this is the kind of crap that goes first for me. Is like I feel like I picked up the game kind of late, and so the calculation part of chess and like the board vision is what suffers, and that's why it takes me a long time to think, and that's why I miss like random crap like that, is because it just all right. He has queen c8 check. He kind of had. Okay. I honestly thought I allowed rook a8 mate for a second. Did you see my like that micro face that I just made? Oh man, I just friggin' panicked. I think he has to play queen to c8, and then he unfortunately cannot go back now. Yeah, and rook a8 is impossible. Jeez, man, I almost just had a complete meltdown. These games are the worst. Um, the good news for me is I think he's just completely lost now. King f1, queen f6 check. I'm at least winning the rook, but I think actually, yeah, it's just mating in various ways. King f1, queen f6, king back to g1, rook g3 is gonna mate, and or king f1, queen h6, queen f6, excuse me, king g1 takes here, king h2 here. Yeah, he has to go here, but this wins the queen. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna take the queen, and then I think I'm probably also gonna take the rook. If he goes to the e file, I win the rook. If he plays king g1, well, if you don't resign now, you're just a butthead, pretty much. Yeah, okay. Whew. Let's take a quick look at this one. Tony Rose YouTube games. I actually don't know what the prescription for this move would be. E6, but then if d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c3. Yeah, I mean, okay, you're in some kind of a Paulson or a Khan or whatever. I don't think this move is bad. The problem is when you play Kalashnikov, like what do you play in this position? it's actually not unreasonable. I think you could play this move, and then after like d3, play bishop e7. And okay, there's this scum. That's lame. Okay, maybe you cannot play that way, or you'd have to play h6, which I don't really want to do. So, yeah, is knight f6 bad? Like you wonder about d5. I presume you have to go. I mean, you wonder about e5. I presume you have to go d5. Point being, something like this, not so bad. And if he goes here, you got to put your knight somewhere. You're gonna take. I don't know. I'd probably rather be white, honestly. I don't mind playing the accelerated dragon, especially if white is already committed to bishop c4. The thing that stinks about the accelerated dragon really is this move. You can say what you want. People have, like, their preferred line, but generally, if white plays precisely, it's typically not that fun to play against the Maroczy bind. For instance, like one line that I kind of like in the accelerated dragon is these are all like kind of mainline moves. Takes, bishop c6, f3, a5, b3, knight d7. White does not generally want to trade off his good bishop or more pieces because he has more space, so white pretty much always goes knight c5. Is this right? Bishop e3 rather, and then knight c5, rook a to b1, and then like e6. I think this line is kind of interesting. And it looks insane to play e6, of course, because well, you have this backward d pawn, and white is literally just ready to play this move. But the point is that you can go bishop e5, and this bishop does a tremendous job of protecting this, and also starting like kind of a blockade on the dark squares with moves like queen f6 but queen h4 is kind of an interesting threat here. And if f4, there's always bishop takes c3, and then the e4 pawn is hanging. So it's actually quite hard to dislodge this bishop. So that's an interesting line. The problem is that upon bishop d7, I think knight c2 is quite annoying. Just now that black is set up to go knight takes d4 and bishop c6, white retreats the knight and claims that with all four minor pieces on the board, the space advantage is more relevant. I think that's true. I find this line to be somewhat annoying. And if black tries to be clever and go knight takes d4 first and then bishop d7, white can go queen d3 instead. Point being that now after bishop c6, the pawn is not attacked, and white can go b4 in one move and then threaten b5, which is very annoying. So that's a quick breakdown. There's also a somewhat annoying line. Is it h3 here? Knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop c6, queen to c2, a5, rook a to d1, knight d7, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, bishop g4. Yeah, this is the line. Also pretty annoying, turns out. This is a relatively modern line that people are trying to figure out now and kind of check out the landscape, but there's another move order for people who are watching this video and they're like, oh, but what about this? You can go knight f6 here, knight c3, and then like knight takes d4, queen takes d4, d6, and exchange these knights early, and then bishop e2, bishop g7, and then white has to decide which square they want their dark squared bishop on this move. Bishop e3 or bishop g5. If white plays something like castles, pretty inaccurate, I think. Is it? Yeah, because now any square that you put your bishop on, there's like an annoying discovery. So, okay. Anywho, I very much digress. Yeah, this move just stinks. What can I say? Blunder. And it is an interesting question how black should best capitalize on that. I was thinking about this. but maybe slightly. And I saw all the way to here in h6, and I was like, this has to be good for black. But there was something about like having to play h6, having to put my bishop on this kind of like lame d7 square that I didn't feel like I was maybe getting the most, or that my position was as harmonious as it could be here. So I was a little bit reticent to do that. And again, I could do the same thing here. And I just wasn't sure if I should go here or I should go here. I think both are decent. Obviously, black is up a pawn for pretty much no compensation. It's just like trying to milk that last drop of getting the best position that you possibly can. And Stockfish doesn't hate knight c6. I think it makes a lot of sense. h4, damn. This guy's going for it. It's possible that knight takes b3 immediately is like releasing the tension too soon and giving him the a file a little bit earlier than necessary. One thing that I was thinking about is like b6 here, h5, and then knight takes here, and then knight d5. And I was like, I would really maybe like to think about going f6 in this position, but I can't do that because of knight takes f6 with this double check. And so that was my reason for playing knight takes b3 first, because now the same line, if I go b6, he goes here, here, here. I can go f6, and he's got to like retreat his bishop, and then I go bishop b7, and I start to like go e6, e5, d5, or f5, or whatever, and push back his central pieces without having to worry about this cheap shot. So that was why I did it, but I'm not sure looking back on it that maybe it was the best plan. I don't think it really matters all that much, though, honestly, because I think that this position is kind of stink for white no matter what, and I didn't even have to play particularly well to beat him here. Yeah, and then again, this is like the other big mistake. I mean, his position kind of stinks here, more than I thought it did, actually. I was a little bit, I thought this was maybe somewhat logical, and then I was planning on going queen b7, and then I just expected him to go, oh my god, he can't do that. Okay, see, this is just like why is my rating as high as it is? Okay, yeah, obviously he can't do that. So he's just losing here. Yeah, he's just completely busted because I have two attacks at one time. That's how chess works, Tony. It's called a double attack. You big dum-dum. Okay, so yeah, but even anywhere really, like queen d2 and probably even just here still. Oh, just kidding. Might as well put that in. Okay, I take it all back. Yeah, he's just losing after this. So yeah, I mean, if anything, I would say, what can we learn from this game? A little bit about the subtleties of the accelerated dragon. Thinking I need to make a mental note to maybe come up with a good independent way to meet bishop c4 if I don't want to go into a dragon proper or something. That's something to take away from this. And also just like these tactics. And this is a very common tactical pattern in a lot of positions, really. Even from the white side, you can get this from like reverse dragons, something like this. Okay, and then here, well, okay, you can even go here, for instance, and this just loses the pawn to this in here. It happens in the Kalashnikov, so if we think about something like this, it's a little bit more sophisticated, but same idea. Just trying to think of a way to do it. There are a bunch of ways. Yeah, so here, like, this is a very common line. This is the line that I recommended in my book, this 7 bishop e7, and then a lot of people kind of just like on autopilot. So historically the move is b5, and you go, and then the threat of b4 forces white in a way to go knight d5. But when you play bishop e7, a lot of people just do this anyway, and then you don't have to play b5. You can just go knight f6, which attacks the e pawn. A lot of people play here, which immediately loses a pawn to this same queen a5 check tactic. There are a lot of these tactics that exist, all the same basic theme. Like maybe here, is it? And then like here, and then some people play this cheeky move bishop e2 because knight takes e4, queen a4 check. And then I think even if you go here, white can play this move, and something like here loses to d5, and once you kick the knight, same tactic. So it happens a ton. It's something you just have to look out for. But a useful tactical pattern if you only take one thing from this game, that's not a bad thing to take. If you're always looking for these, once the c pawn is missing, that queen is able to flick over to the a4 square, or even as black, the a5 square, as we saw. Like, if you're always on the lookout for that, how it attacks horizontally along that fifth rank, like, you know, this game and seeing that tactical pattern in a bunch of different ways probably just save you, like, 10 losses across your entire chess career. So that's not bad. All right, I am out. I am going to try and let this wrist heal. And, of course, I will be back with those Alekhine videos and some other stuff, taking out the trash Tuesday on the Danish Gambit, etc. So I will check you guys on the flip side. Peace.